Hello, everybody. This is the Mag and Grip primary class blaster, formerly called Pit Viper. Uh, yeah, this is more or less what I am printing as the first prototype. It's all done to the best of my ability at the moment, and once I get some test prints done, I'll make some more tweaks to it. But right now, this is what I've got. So let me walk you through this real quick. Sorry for the different microphone sound normal. Hope that it's okay. My headset broke, so I'm currently using headphones and a microphone separate from the headset. Something that I don't normally do, so audio quality might be a little bit iffy. So apologies for that. But this is what I've got. This is Mag and Grip Blaster, currently with no name. As you can see, it is based on the Alchemist. However, there are very little part commonalities between this and Alchemist anymore. Like the RAM base, all this orange stuff right here, is the same, direct drop-in, exactly the same. And the barrel nut on the front is the same. That's pretty much it. Everything else completely different. This is actually thinner than Alchemist by quite a bit. I think it's also shorter vertically, and it's also shorter lengthwise by a ton because it's Mag and Grip. The magazine, this one in particular, uses angled talons, goes in through the grip. And I know that some people are going to be asking about the straight talon version that is coming. It will be replacing the grip, the trigger guard, and these two bits here, and maybe this one, but probably not. And then the grip will come directly down out the bottom instead of at an angle like this one. But I wanted to do the angled version first because, first of all, it's going to be more comfortable, and second of all, it's just kind of what I felt like printing. I wanted to print this one because I like angled talons in my Mag and Grip. And then also, I decided to model the angled talon grip first because I wanted to match some of the aesthetics with it. So for instance, this angle here on the stock is determined by the angle here of the grip. If you draw a line from the bottom of the grip back, it lines up with this angle here on the stock. A bunch of little angle things like that match up. Also, this curve here kind of averages out to the same angle as the grip. This angle up here, same angle as the grip, all that sort of stuff. Trying to get a cohesive aesthetic going before I work on variant parts. But this is the blaster. Going over it quickly in terms of functionality. Oh, there we go. It is similar in function to Alchemist. You got your priming block up here. This is what your priming grip attaches to. It's got these ball bearings here with adjustable spacing. And then these are riding on the barrel. And that gives you a super smooth prime. That connects back to the ram base back here, which pushes on the plunger, pushes it back, catches on the sear. And then the sear is lifted up here and drops the plunger, fires the dart through the ram, just like that. This blaster also has the same style of body bar construction as Alchemist, where it has aluminum bars going lengthwise all the way across the blaster, front to back like that. And then up here it has a little bit that it attaches to on the inside with a bolt up here that attaches to the muzzle and kind of pulls on those bars, pulls them forwards, and that tensions the entire blaster. So it squeezes together all the parts, make sure that everything's super rigid and sturdy, and makes everything nice and strong and feel real nice. And then in between all of these parts, there's little alignment notches, like these here, down here, with little corresponding nubbins on the opposing side. Trying to keep all the parts aligned. And then, yeah, so major differences between this and Alchemist, aside from just being mag and grip, there are some functional changes. The priming block is made shorter, and the bearings are closer together. That should make it feel a little bit better, I'm hoping. And it also makes it smaller, which made the front end able to go backwards more in terms of length when modeling it. So Alchemist, if you had the magazine lined up here, I think Alchemist would go out to like here with this bit. So it got shortened a noticeable amount, which was nice. Also changed how the priming block interacts with the back of the barrel shroud pieces. So there's more clearance back here now. Ignore this thing here. This is a custom support that I modeled for the test print. Don't know if this is going to make it to release, but wanted to support that. And then that is there because this priming block prints on this face here at an angle, at a 45-degree angle, I think it is. Yeah. So this prints like this. And it has a bolt going through it down here to provide stability, or not stability, to provide strength, with a nut on the opposing side. And then that just squeezes those bits together. And then this has, as you can see here, the priming block extends under the tensioner on this blaster, and that's what allowed this to be a lot shorter. So yeah, that's that. And then this being further forwards also made it so that you can still use a vertical grip, hopefully, without mashing your thumb against the trigger guard. So that should be good. Other differences. This has no mag release. It uses ball detents here. Two of them, but you can't see the other because it's on the other side of the split view. Uses ball detents to hold the magazine in place. No mag release because mag release wouldn't really fit on this blaster. And also ball detents feel really nice for mag and grip blasters where you just need to kind of pull out the magazine and slap another one in. You don't need to worry about anything else. The plunger mechanism on this blaster is not the same as Alchemist. Alchemist uses a plunger rod and a plunger head, and the sear connects back here to the plunger rod. By switching to a more Talon Claw style of plunger, I was able to make this a lot shorter for the same amount of prime. So this still has 95 millimeters of prime, but the blaster in the stock area, in the plunger area, is a lot shorter because you don't need to worry about that plunger rod. Now, the plunger rod is there on Alchemist to improve spring feel, like the prime feel, but on this blaster, like, unless you wanted the stock to be out here, you kind of needed to get rid of the plunger rod. So I think that's a worthy trade, or a worthwhile trade. This style of plunger still uses Lynx style springs and K25, K26, all that stuff. Same spring compatibility as Alchemist, so that's very nice. And then this is a Talon Claw style of plunger, but it is not sharing any components with the Talon Claw. So you cannot use a Talon Claw plunger in this, I don't think. I've actually never put the Talon Claw plunger into this file to check that, but I don't know, don't quote me on that. But this is a similar style of plunger to a Talon Claw, but I did not model this off of a Talon Claw piece. I modeled this from scratch, so I'm not sure if this would be compatible with any like Delrin plungers or stuff like that for a Talon Claw. And even if it was, you would not be able to use Lynx style springs on that. This uses the same ram base as Alchemist. I already covered that. Same ram rod as a Talon Claw and as Alchemist. The plunger, or not the plunger, the trigger mechanism on this blaster is very, very different. Actually, let me show some more parts and hide some other bits. Here we go. So you can get a better look at this. So there are a bunch of differences on both the sear and on the trigger mechanism on this blaster versus Alchemist, or basically anything else that I've done before. The sear back here uses these two little springy springs back here, small ones. That's because there's no space to put an extension spring or elastic coming off the front up here, front of the sear. So using springs back here is basically the only real choice other than like wrapping an elastic band all the way around the whole blaster, sort of like the slab catch. But that would kind of look ugly, so I'm not going to do that if I can help it. So I got 2 little springies back here pushing up on the sear. Hopefully that's enough. If it's not, I can just add a 3rd one in the middle over here, or 4. I don't know. Might be overkill, but that's what we've got. This also has a wider sear engagement from Alchemist. I should mention that Alchemist got updated with this style of sear engagement up here, where previously it was like a triangle where it would come up and then immediately go back down. This it comes up and it has a little flat section up here and then gradually goes back down. That is so that this area here has more wear resistance. So this one has that by default because I did the Alchemist thing first before I modeled this. So yeah, we got that. And then the real difference between this and Alchemist is this stuff. So the issue with getting a mag and grip blaster to release a catch behind the grip is that it needs to go through the magazine or around the magazine. I'm looking for the magazine file. Where is it? Here it is. There we go. So you got your magazine here, right? And on a normal grip, you would have the trigger kind of like back here. And when you pull this back, it has a little thingy sticking out here that pushes up on the sear up here, which pulls this down, releases the plunger. On this, you can't really do that unless you wanted super ugly thingies going all the way from the trigger all the way back here, and it would feel terrible. So what I did instead was I got this is a trigger yoke. I call it a yoke because that's sort of the thingy that oxen have around their necks to pull a cart, and this is sort of shaped like that. This is a trigger yoke. It has its own return springs right here. And what happens is the trigger, when pulled back, pushes on this upper bit forwards, which then pulls this blue part forwards. This blue part has a roller right here, which is also pulled forwards. When all that's pulled forwards, like that, it rides up on this little ramp on the sear and pushes that up, and then releases in the back as normal. I hope that this works well. I'm currently test printing it, and I have no idea if this is going to work very well, but it seems pretty promising. And of course, this is done like this to go around the magazine. So you can see this has this big open area in the middle for the magazine to go through, and it goes around the magazine to trigger the sear and stuff. And as you can see, the trigger is pivoting like this. So you can see it's pulling towards the blue part. So yeah, that's how that works. Hope that works well. Still have the ball detent up here for the ram base to make it lock in place on the Ford's Prime. Same as Alchemist. This has a rail up here with, you don't want to have rail back here because that's where your face is going, especially on a blaster this short. So you got rail up here. And yeah, and in order to swap springs on this blaster, you do not split it in half like Alchemist. So if this were an Alchemist, it would be kind of split right here. You would take off all this back area. On this one, you just take off the butt plate. Just boop. Take out that pin there, or you loosen the bar tensioner up front. Then you take out this pin. Then you just slide off this bit, and access your spring, and you slide that back on. Easy peasy. Then in order to do barrel swaps, same as Alchemist, loosen this nut, and then you can just pull out the barrel. And then it also still has the optional M3 screw if you don't want to use this barrel collet mechanism. You can just jam a screw right into the barrel and lock it in real good if you don't care about, marring up your barrel and scraping it all and that stuff. But yeah, that's that. I'm going to show you, actually, what it looks like compared to some other blasters. As long as Fusion doesn't crash. And then that's it for the video. So here we've got an Alchemist, kind of simplified Alchemist for for working on alternate color schemes and stuff. But you can see with the backs of the grips lined up, ignore this extra bit. That's the optional Lynx grip from the Alchemist, this extra loop over here. But the normal grip is lined up with the corner of that bit. We also have this one where the trigger is lined up. But you can see this is substantially shorter than Alchemist. Way shorter. Really good. And then also the length of pull from grip to stock is shorter as well. But I'm planning to possibly extend the prime length of this. Currently it's 95 millimeters, which is what Alchemist uses. A Talon Claw V4, I think, or T4, uses, I think, 110 millimeters. So I'm thinking I might increase this to like 105 millimeters, which would kind of take this back, I don't know, like that much, probably. And that would both probably feel better, because the stock's kind of short right now, I think. But it would also give you that extra little bit of performance, which would be pretty good. Then you can use it in competitive more with like 250, 260 FPS caps. Because in order to get that in an Alchemist, you need to kind of use a little bit of a stout spring, which is like fine, but I would rather have a lighter prime and just have it be a little bit longer of a prime. So I'm going to probably make that change on this. So yeah, that is it compared to an Alchemist. Way shorter. Super short. Really, really short. And then compared to a Lynx, it's still even shorter than a Lynx if you ignore like the barrel sticking out. Because the barrel length on the Lynx is massive. So this is on the blaster that I made is a 12-inch barrel in this model. On the Lynx, this is like, I don't know, like a 30 centimeter long barrel. It's super long. But in terms of layout and stuff, it's pretty much the same. Again, if we lined up the grips, the backs of the grips here, to like the back of the stock, you can see it's more or less the same length as the Lynx. And it has that shorter stock, but again, that would be extended when I increase the prime length. But you can see the manual of arms, I guess, the muscle memory of using this blaster is going to be pretty good in terms of like the rail is in similar place, the stock is in similar place, the priming stuff is in a similar place, but instead of sticking the magazine in the butt, you stick it in the hand. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, and I forgot to show you how much thinner this is than Alchemist. Not quite as thin as a Lynx, but if I undo, Control Z, you can see this is way thinner than Alchemist. It's like a good centimeter thinner on this upper section, and the stock is thinner as well. So yeah, a lot thinner, and also the stock is slightly smaller as well, still has the same bottom length in terms of that, but the top is shaved down a bit so you can get your head closer to the blaster down here and better lined up with the Picatinny bits. So yeah, that's that. And I've also got a Foxbat here, which of course this was originally based on, this pump action blaster, which was originally based on Foxbat. But then I kind of restarted from scratch, only really using the grip from Foxbat and just throwing out everything else. Because I started working on this blaster concept before I started working on Alchemist. Of course, once Alchemist is being worked on, got a lot of improvements in that design compared to a normal pump action blaster. So I decided to just kind of keep the grip and redo everything based off of Alchemist instead of based off of this guy. Oh, this guy. But you can see grip, similar size. The trigger is in a better location further up. That's not really possible in Foxbat due to the way that the plunger and trigger system works. And you can see it's a little bit taller in Foxbat, but the grip, or the barrels are in pretty much the same spot. That's neat. But yeah, that's that compared to that. And that is pretty much my whole overview for this blaster. Let me think. Is there anything else I want to show off? I don't know. This is a lot thinner than Alchemist, as I said. The walls on this are also thinner, 2 millimeters thick in some places. Should be plenty. Alchemist is a little bit over thick, over chunky. So thinned it out a bit on this, which is good. There's a lot less screws on this blaster as well versus Alchemist. A lot more of these little liney thingies instead of screws or pins. And also the grip is all dovetailed on, or mostly dovetailed on, I should say. There's this giant dovetail going down each side of the blaster, there and there, that the grip dovetails onto. If I isolate the grip, you can see there, got that giant dovetail there. So that's good. Then it still has 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. I kind of lock it in place. Front to back, so it doesn't slide off the dovetails. What else? You can see that there's 2 different versions of the grip. This one has a little cutout there, just because of the super short angled mags from Worker, angled talons. Those kind of sit flush with the grip, so I wanted to add a little grabby thingy so you can still get those out of the blaster. But I also made a version without that, because, I don't know, I guess you wouldn't use those mags, personally. But yeah, if you do want to use those mags, got a little cutout. Just to make it easier to grab. And yeah, I think that is pretty much all that I've got to say about this blaster that still has no name. Yeah, thanks for sticking 22 minutes into this video. Hope that you found it at least a little bit interesting. If you have any questions about the blaster, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And I will also be bringing this prototype of the blaster to Maryland Mayhem if everything goes well. So if you want to get some hands-on time with the blaster, try it out, feel the ergonomics, see the smooth prime and smooth magwell and all that stuff, stop by my Maryland Mayhem booth on the 3rd day of Maryland Mayhem. Yeah. Hope that you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you later. And I hope that the audio was good enough. All right. Bye-bye.